Much love and long life to all of you, my people, my truth seekers, my justice warriors, everybody who refuses to let these stories slip through the cracks. Because let's be real, there was a time in America when the moment a black man got shot by police, the whole country stopped. It was headline news, wall-to-wall coverage, reporters on every corner. But now it's so common, so back-to-back, so quietly swept under the rug that half the time we don't even hear about it until it's too late. And that silence alone is part of the danger. And this story right here? This is one of those cases that should have shaken the timeline, but somehow it barely made a ripple. I'm talking about what went down in June. 38-year-old Daniel Hayes, a man just doing his job, clocked in at Arby's like any regular day. And minutes later, he was shot by 3 deputies at the same time. 3 guns, 1 man, at his workplace. And the way the news covered it? Watch carefully.
Cambria County deputies shot and killed a man at the Arby's restaurant on Highway 98 in Pensacola today. Family members are identifying him as 37-year-old Daniel Lewis Hayes. Deputies say he was wanted on felony warrants from a domestic violence case back on June 13th. The sheriff's office says Hayes committed domestic battery strangulation, aggravated assault by holding a screwdriver to the victim's throat, burglary, and grand theft. Haley Sample is joining us now from the scene with more. Haley?
Bob, all afternoon, family members surrounded this Arby's, grieving the sudden loss of Daniel Hayes. And deputies say it all started around 3 o'clock this afternoon when they received a call that Hayes was seen at this restaurant. Family members tell me Daniel Hayes worked in the kitchen at this Arby's. When deputies arrived, they spotted Hayes in the parking lot. Officers say Hayes fled inside after seeing the deputies. 3 deputies then followed Hayes into the restaurant. Deputies say Hayes jumped over the counter and struggled with a deputy before pushing one of them to the ground. They say Hayes then grabbed a large knife and ignored several commands to drop it. When Hayes moved aggressively towards them, the deputies opened fire with the knife still in his hand. All 3 deputies fired at Hayes, striking him several times. I spoke with Hayes' aunt earlier today off camera. She tells me this behavior is uncharacteristic of her nephew.
He's not a mean person. He's not a bad person. He was always smiling. And this is some bull. I want to see some cameras out of Arby's and police dash cams or they body cams. That's what we want. But I know that what they're saying, that's not my nephew.
Deputies say Hayes died on the scene. No deputies or bystanders were injured during the encounter. A spokesperson with the sheriff's office says FDLE will take over the investigation from here. And according to the sheriff's office, all 3 deputies will be put on administrative leave as the investigation continues.
I'm going to play the clip in a moment, but trust me, before I even break it down, you're going to feel the tone. You're going to feel how they talk about him. And yes, this is fair use for commentary, education, and truth-telling. So we're well within our rights to analyze what they put out publicly. Now pay attention to this, because the very first thing they do is erase his humanity. They don't say Daniel Hayes, father, son, worker, neighbor. They don't say a man was shot. No. The headline jumps straight to felony suspect killed in deputy-involved shooting. Just like that. Boom. Not a man, not a human being. A label, a category, a justification. They turn his whole existence into a case file before they even show his face. And you can literally see the desensitization happening in real time. The way they choose their words, the way they frame the story. The way they feed the public this ready-made narrative like it's supposed to make everything make sense. So watch this clip with both eyes open. Don't just listen to what they're saying. Listen to what they're not saying. Listen to the tone. Listen to the urgency that's missing. I'm going to run the footage, and then I'll be right back to break down the details they tried to slide past you. Just watch.
3 sheriff deputies are on paid administrative leave right now after a deadly restaurant shooting. The sheriff says deputies were there to arrest a man on outstanding felony warrants when things escalated. Our Dacian Smith with the latest on this investigation. Dacian, what are you hearing about what led to that gunfire?
Schenectady County Sheriff Chip Simmons says the suspect did pull a knife on deputies and ignored multiple commands to drop it. So he says when he started moving towards them aggressively, they had no choice but to open fire. A chaotic scene at the Arby's on Highway 98 ended in a deputy-involved shooting that left a man dead. Family members identified the man as 37-year-old Daniel Hayes and say he was normally pretty laid back.
He's more of the humble, smiling, generous, loving. You could talk to him about anything, and he'd be there to answer any calls or whatever, smiling all the time.
Several family members were on scene Thursday night trying to process what happened. The Escambia County Sheriff's Office says Hayes had felony warrants stemming from a domestic incident last Friday, including accusations that he held a screwdriver to the victim's throat. Investigators say they got a tip that Hayes was at the Arby's, where his family says he worked for years. Sheriff Chip Simmons says when deputies arrived, Hayes ran inside, jumped over the counter, and pushed a deputy to the ground before grabbing a knife.
There were people there that were getting food. There were employees there. It's unfortunate that he chose to jump the counter and get back into the rather confined employee area. There were at least 3 other employees that I noticed on the body camera footage that were in that area.
Sheriff Simmons says Hayes took several things out of his pockets, but ignored commands to drop the knife. He says 3 deputies opened fire, killing him. Hayes' family says the whole incident doesn't seem real, but Sheriff Simmons says he feels deputies had no choice but to shoot.
I just don't see that. I really don't. I don't see him doing nothing they saying. I don't see it. Like I said, once again, he's a nice going guy, laughing. He always smiling.
I think that this whole thing happened within just a few seconds. When you have a deadly force situation, when you have people that are that close to the suspect, I think that you have an obligation to protect yourself and others. And I think that's what they did.
Sheriff's Office says the 3 deputies will remain on paid administrative leave until the Florida Department of Law Enforcement finishes its investigation.
All right, so boom, there you have it. You heard that sheriff, chest out, talking about, I think they had to, deadly force situation, protect themselves, like he rehearsed that line in the mirror before stepping in front of the cameras. And here's the part that don't add up. They admit the man was already in a confined space behind that counter. Confined, cornered, contained, surrounded by people he'd been working with for years. So what exactly was he supposed to do? Turn into the Hulk? Teleport through the walls? Hurt the same co-workers he laughed with every day? Make it make sense. And here they go again with the magic phrase police always use when they're about to justify something shady. He moved aggressively. Bro, what does that even mean? Lean forward? Step back? Blink too fast? Scratch his head? Everything is aggressive when they want to empty a clip. That's why we keep saying, show us the body cam footage. Not your version. Not your summary. Not your carefully worded press release. Let us see what you saw. Because from where we're standing, this feels less like law enforcement and more like an assassination squad rolling up with one pre-written explanation they use every single time. First step, paint him as a threat. Second step, say he moved aggressively. Third step, go straight to the gun instead of the taser, instead of the spray, instead of talking him down, instead of anything that preserves life. Guns are supposed to be the last resort, but somehow they're always the first tool grabbed. And the wildest part? This happened months ago, and barely anybody even knows. It slid under the radar like they hoped it would. Quiet. Discreet. No outrage. No national coverage. Another black life gone, and the news cycle acted like it was a weather update. But you know what? Everything they try to hide eventually comes to the light. Everything done in secret eventually hits the mountaintop. Ephesians 5:11. Expose the works of darkness. Don't participate in them. And that's exactly why we talk about these cases. Why we break them down. Why we shine a light where they hope nobody's looking. So y'all let me know what you think. Because your voice matters here. Drop your thoughts, your opinions, your questions. Like, share, hit subscribe to the Untold Crime Chronicles so this truth keeps spreading. Much love, long life, and respect to all of you. My truth seekers, my justice warriors, the ones who refuse to let these stories die in silence.